Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my WWE Roadblock review. Um, and I said I was doing this, and I'm here to do it now. And I just got done watching the show not that long ago. And coming out of this show, I really didn't think it was a bad show. Um, maybe because my expectations were so low that I didn't really give as much of a fuck about this show, that maybe that could be the reason why that I gave no fucks. Um, maybe because it was my birthday, kind of at the time. Well, when I was watching this show, I was in a really good mood, so maybe I'm kind of giving the WWE some credit here, but and I'm not trying not to be a hard ass. Maybe it's because I just can't. It really was a good show. Um, I will say this, that this was a good show here. There is some stuff about it. Do I think that it was worth um taking away their focus away from building up to WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, where they want to break their attendance record? No. I still stand by that. I don't understand why they would take their focus away from that. Um, and I'll never understand that. Do I think it was worth yeah, like I said, it wasn't worth putting WrestleMania on the back burner. Do I think it was worth you know, because now it's pretty obvious after that main event that the people want Dean Ambrose to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at some point. Do I think it's worth trying to get Roman Reigns? Because now Roman Reigns is going to get massively booed now when he does win that title. No, I don't think it's worth that either. Um, and I can't really. Maybe they had to call it audible by having Ambrose wrestle for the belt because Roman Reigns had gotten injured, but I don't think this was the right audible. Um, Now I would definitely say there was more good than bad on this show. I'm gonna start off by talking about how it was just an easy show to sit through. Um, you know, it wasn't really. It was only 2 hours, and it was a pretty easy show to sit through. You know, it had wrestling all the way through. It really flowed well. So I liked it for that reason. I didn't wasn't really bored watching this show. Like normally when I was watching Fastlane, I was bored out of my mind. But I thought this show was a nice, easy show to sit through. I thought it actually did a nice, decent job, actually kind of trying to build to WrestleMania. Um, I thought they did a decent job at doing that. Um, I thought they did a just the one complaint I do have though is maybe they should have had done something to change up Mania a little bit, because this was supposed to be the show like where that WrestleMania could possibly change. So maybe they should have done something to change up Mania. Maybe having Natalia win the Divas title, something like that. But let me just talk about this show. Um, we had JBL, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show, and it opened right off with a match. We had Kofi Kingston and Big E with Xavier Woods ringside, and they were defending their WWE Tag Team Champions against Ken Barrett and Sheamus. Now, the one question I do have is I know they probably couldn't get Rusev to fly down there, and maybe Alberto Del Rio to fly down there, but why, of all times now, to do the Ken Barrett and Sheamus, not have them come down? Because they clearly would have had the numbers advantage if they had. And when they at least, and if they weren't going to have just both of them come down, why not have either Rusev come down with them? I didn't really think that made much sense, because now the numbers were at a disadvantage, and it actually ended up hurting them towards the end of the match. I didn't really think that made a lot of sense. And the New Day obviously were being faced in this match. They actually did a great promo segment talking about how when they see them, they see greatness with their hips and everything like that. Um, and how they talk about how they want how and they introduced the new Booty O's, which I totally want to get some Booty O's. It's the cereal box, and they have Big E's talking a high pitched voice like he's a little boy, um, and they have him go into this high pitched voice saying that if you don't eat these Booty O's, um you're gonna be a kin that moves nothing like Ken Barrett. you're gonna be a I forget what they said about Alberto Del Rio, but you're gonna be you also are gonna look stupid. And then they went to do something on Rusev, but they couldn't come up with anything with Rusev. I thought that was awesome. And when they did their New Day rocks, then Big E said it in his high pitched voice. I thought the New Day were gold here, and I think that they should go the route now of us having them be face, because I think they're great. You know, the crowd's really seen behind him here, and I think it's time to make that switch and turn the New Day face. But we get the match. I actually thought it was a nice, solid match. Um, the New Day does the unicorn stomp, and Big E and Xavier Woods ringside was still holding the bootios. And then the heels, Barrett and Sheamus, get the heat on Kofi Kingston for a while. And then Big E gets the hot tag. And he then eventually Sheamus gets Kofi Kingston into the Texas Cloverleaf. But Kofi Kingston ends up reversing it into a Hurricane Rana roll-up. But Sheamus kicks out of it. And then Barrett takes out Big E on the outside. And then Big E gets the hot tag. Then the New Day go to hit their finish where they go for the big ending into the, and when Kofi Kingston jumps on the guy, but Kofi Kingston ended up getting taken out. So then Sheamus hit a suplex on Big E, and Barrett hit a super kick on him, but when he was making the cover, Xavier Woods distracted the referee, which is why it ended up hurting him, not having him out there. So then Sheamus went after Xavier Woods, but Kofi Kingston took out Sheamus. And then Big E, I believe, hit the big ending on Ken Barrett for the win. And the New Day retained the tag team titles. I thought this was actually a really good opening matchup, and I thought this was fine. I liked it. So then Paul Heyman cuts an interview promo backstage talking about how Brock Lesnar chose his time now to take out Bray Wyatt for costing him the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And he even talks about how he's gonna take out Bray Wyatt just like the some hockey team, because I don't know a lot about sports, tried to take out the Canadians hockey team because they were in Canada. And I thought that was awesome. I thought he cut a pretty good promo here. And then the next match we had Chris Jericho versus Jack Swagger. We're in a match, but whatever. They wanted obviously to utilize Chris Jericho since this was his hometown. And Chris Jericho, I actually forgot to talk about this when I did the Aftershock Corner, which you can check out right up above. And Chris Jericho was talking shit about AJ Styles, because pretty much the whole reason he turned on AJ Styles is because people were chanting AJ Styles. They did that whole segment on SmackDown where he talked about how AJ Styles is just going to be a flash in the pan. Everybody's going to forget about him within a few months, which I hope doesn't happen. And then he lights the T-shirt on fire. And he talks about how he's never been hurt. He's won many titles, and he never called in sick, never been hurt. And he's been doing this for 17 years straight, which really isn't true because he's gone off TV to do Fozzy and stuff like that. And I like the direction they're going. I just kind of wish they would have not have him have 3 matches, because they clearly established that AJ Styles is the better man. So if they wouldn't have had 3 matches already, I think I would have been all for this feud. I definitely would have been. Hold on, I'm just responding to a text. But yeah, I kind of wish they would have not had him have 3 matches. Maybe have had him have been a tag team, because they're trying to make it sound like the Y2AJ were a tag team, but they were only for a tag team for I think a couple of weeks. So I kind of wish they would have gone in a different direction, because then it would have made more sense. But the match, but then he even goes off about Jack Swagger, talking about how he beat him for the World Heavyweight Championship, and now look what Jack Swagger is. For no reason, he says, "We the people," and he even mocks him by saying, "We, the Jericho," and he talks about how he's the best in the world, and he even talks about how he's happy he moved out of Canada because he had to get heel heat because because they were in his hometown. So he said moving out of Canada was the best decision he ever made because it stinks. Literally, it stinks. And then yeah, I liked it, because the one thing about Chris Jericho is he's really good at getting people to hate him. He literally turned his own hometown against him because they booed him right after they said that. I thought that was great. And Jack Swagger comes out, and when they did the We the People thing, everybody else was doing it, which was stupid because We the People's only like a United States thing. And Chris Jericho and Jack Swagger actually had a nice solid matchup. Jericho dominated a good portion of the match, and then eventually there was a spot where Jericho went for the Coldbreaker and Swagger counted into like an amateur background move, which was cool. But eventually Jericho and Swagger got Jericho in the ankle lock. But Jericho got to the ropes, and then eventually Jericho won with the Walls of Jericho by making Jack Swagger tap out. And afterwards, he just walks out, and JBL kept saying on commentary, "He still got it. He still got it." It was fine the first few times, but it got really annoying afterwards. So I thought this one overall was a nice, solid matchup. It was really random, but I guess it worked. Um, then we get the next match. It's Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy with Carmella versus the rival. I don't know. It's Das and Dawson, also known as the Mechanics. And this was for the NXT Tag Team titles. Good match. I love the story in the match. I've really loved this feud. And I'm not going to give the main WWE roster credit here, mainly because I'm going to give NXT credit for this because this was NXT's creation. And this actually does leave me a lot hopeful because I do think Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy will work on the main roster because they were over as hell. NXT was over. They were over when they came out. So that definitely makes me hopeful that they won't be misutilized when they come up when they eventually do come up from the NXT and they come up to the main roster. I love the match. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy dominate the first. Well, first the Rival tried to do a sneak attack before the match where where Colin Cassidy's distracting the ref and they both gain up on Enzo Amore, but Enzo Amore counters with a Hurricanrana, and Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy then start dominating the match. Enzo Amore just gets taught by Colin Cassidy into the Rival, and then eventually the Rival take control in the matchup and they start dominating Enzo Amore. They get the heat on him. They hit the double knees right into the into the turnbuckle while Enzo Amore is in the tree roll position. They hit a wicked clothesline on the outside, and I love the psychology when Enzo Amore tried to get the tag, but just at the last second, I believe Dash knocked him right, hit like a wicked shoulder block on him, knocked him right outside the ring. Then eventually Colin Cassidy got the hot tag, and he started taking out the Rival. And then eventually Enzo he tells Enzo Amore to go up and go for his elbow drop, but then Dawson or Dash, one of the two, I forget which one, pulls Enzo Amore down, so he starts chasing after him, but he tries to use Carmella, who was outside ringside, as a shield, but Carmella reverses, kind of like it fights out of it, slaps him in the face, and then the Rival hits the flapjack into the Codebreaker on the outside on Colin Cassidy, and then afterwards they try to do it to Enzo Amore, where they're gonna do it off the top rope like they did at NXT Takeover London. But he fights out of it and he hits a DDT off the turnbuckle, and he tries to roll up. I'm just gonna say Dawson for the win, but Dawson kicks out of it, and then eventually the Rival. One of them has Enzo Amore up, and then the other one does like the flapjack into like the Codebreaker, but he does it off the turnbuckle, and they get the victory, and the Rival retain the NXT Tag Team titles. I'm not going to complain about this because I do think, since the Enzo Amore, I did say this when I predicted it in the Aftershock Corner, I do think that the Rival, well, for a number of reasons, I do think that Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy will either win the titles at WrestleMania, or the WWE Tag Team titles at WrestleMania, or the night after Raw. I think the night, I know it would be more, I know it wouldn't make sense to do it the night after Raw, but I could see the New Day winning whatever match they have at WrestleMania, and then all of a sudden the next night on Raw, they issue like an open challenge, and Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy make their debut the next night on Raw. I could see that happening. I also could see with what's going on with NXT at NXT Takeover Dallas, Team American Alpha win the NXT Tag Team titles because they're really over in NXT. So I think that's the direction that they're going with NXT. Well, with NXT anyways, and with what's going on with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. I think that's the direction they're going. I think that Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy will either finally have the big moment at WrestleMania or the Monday Night Raw afterwards. But really a good matchup though. So then Natalia gets interviewed and she says that she's dedicating this match tonight to Bret Hart, who I never mentioned this, who is suffering for prostate cancer. I really do feel bad for him, even though he's not the hugest fan of me. I do feel bad for him. Bret Hart always gave it his best when he was out there wrestling, and I really do feel bad about the fact that he is having cancer. And I thought I heard something that it was cancer free, but I guess that isn't true. So then Charlotte comes up and laughs about it and says that I'm just gonna use you as a stepping stone for my match at WrestleMania. And Natalia wants her to put the Divas title on the line, and at first Charlotte doesn't want to do it. But then Natalia says, well, maybe my Uncle Bret was right. You Flairs are cowards. So then Ric Flair's going to say something, but then Charlotte tells Ric Flair to be quiet and says, you know what, you want it, you got it. So then we get that match, Charlotte with Ric Flair defending the Divas title against Natalia. Good match. Not the best match they had. The match they had at NXT, the very first ever NXT TakeOver. I can't believe it was only 2 years ago since that happened. It was definitely the better matchup, but this actually was a good match as well. I really enjoyed it. Natalia dominates the first part of the match. She gets Charlotte into a surfboard. And then Charlotte dominates the match. She starts working over Natalia's knee. And she eventually gets Natalia into the figure 4 leg lock. But then she tells Natalia to tap, and Natalia refuses to tap out. And other things too, like Natalia did the drop kick and then the spinning clothesline. And then eventually when Charlotte gets into the figure 4 while she's in the ropes, but then the referee breaks the hold. And then Charlotte hits natural selection on Natalia, but Natalia kicks out of it. And then Natalia gets Charlotte into the sharpshooter. And then Ric Flair puts out his hands and he tries to help her. And Charlotte grabs his hands. And Natalia gets mad about this. And then Charlotte hits a roll up on Natalia for the win. And that was it. I did think there was points where Natalia was going to win. When she got her in the sharpshooter, I definitely thought Natalia had it, even though I kind of had a feeling Natalia wasn't winning just because of the way they booked Natalia, and the way they, the way, then the fact that Natalia already has a match at WrestleMania, they've already announced it, so. But I was kind of hoping that they were going to have Natalia kind of win just because I wanted to see a 4-way. And it would have, like I said, it would have definitely changed the landscape of WrestleMania like this pay-per-view was supposed to. But whatever. Okay, next match I feel kind of mixed about it. The next match was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt comes up with Luke Harper. He talked about how Brock Lesnar is a beast. He is a conqueror. That's the way you should see him. He's beaten everybody in the WWE. Except for me. He's never conquered me. So he decides that pretty much they're going to have a handicap match with Brock Lesnar. It's going to be Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper versus Brock Lesnar instead. Now, I was fine with that, I guess, just because it was kind of, I guess that was okay, but it kind of made Bray Wyatt look like he was afraid to face Lesnar one-on-one, so I thought that was stupid. It was just kind of also stupid. I think they should, instead of having him have the tag in and out, I think it would have been more believable if you had them both have to wrestle the match, both Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper have to wrestle the match all at the same time, because that would have because one-on-one you really can't take out Brock Lesnar, so I think it would have made more sense to have them have to wrestle them 2 at a time. It's like a tornado handicap match, and then the match happened. So I do like Brock Lesnar. I like that he could just go in there and kill everybody. I always like watching Brock Lesnar just killing people. And he pretty much did kill Luke. So pretty much the match was just Luke Harper versus Brock Lesnar. Bray Wyatt just kind of stood outside the ring and watched. And Brock Lesnar hits a German suplex on Harper, and he's just destroying him. And he's looking over at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt walks away because he's afraid to fight him. And Luke Harper hits a suicide dive on the floor. And he really starts taking out Lesnar. He hits 2 super kicks on him, and then he hits a big boot and then a discus clothesline. And Brock Lesnar kicked out of it. Eventually, Lesnar just started firing away with German suplexes, and then eventually hit an F5 on Harper for the win. And afterwards, Bray Wyatt just stands there, and then when Lesnar starts stalking him, Wyatt kind of like runs away. He walks backstage. Now, it is believable because Brock Lesnar's a beast, you'd be afraid of him, but this just made Bray Wyatt look like a total bitch. He looked like a total pussy bitch. Um, it was ridiculous. Just end the Wyatt family. You buried this group. They never win a match. They like this is pointless. Like what? Bray Wyatt pretty much looked like a pushy bitch out here. He ran away from Lesnar, and Luke Harper actually looked strong here in a way. He actually took the shit kicking. So I actually think if they really want to do something, why not just have Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt face off at WrestleMania, saying, it would make sense having Luke Harper say, you just left me out there to get destroyed by Brock Lesnar while you watch. He sat there and did nothing about it. Because Bray Wyatt, and then have Luke Harper just beat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, or vice versa. But this was absolutely stupid. This made Bray Wyatt look like a bitch. And it's like people say that just because Bray Wyatt wrestles these top names makes him look good, but he never wins. He can't beat John Cena. He loses to John Cena in a 3-on-1 handicap match, and then he needs a help from a little kid to beat Cena in a steel cage match, and then he loses to him in the last man standing match. Then he has a lame ass feud with Chris Jericho, which he looked decently strong in, but it didn't really do anything for him. Then he looks good in the feud with Dean Ambrose, and then he loses to the Undertaker, which was kind of ridiculous because the Undertaker had to win that match though because he's the Undertaker, he's a boss. But Bray Wyatt didn't really benefit from it because he kind of became irrelevant after that match. And then what else happens? He has this lame ass feud with Roman Reigns that he loses. He has and then he just gets destroyed by Brock Lesnar. Pretty much, he cowards away and runs away from Brock Lesnar. They're being stupid. Just get rid of the Wyatts because they're booked stupid. I don't care about them. Like, if you try to say that Bray Wyatt is... Like, if you try to make Bray Wyatt look like a threat, you pretty much... He's not a threat. They did a video package trying to show how much of a threat he was. This guy is not a threat. This guy is a fat piece of shit. That's all he is. That's what you made him to turn out to be, and it's your own fault. I should try to defend you and say that this isn't an easy gimmick to book in the nowadays product because it's a PG product. It would have probably be easier to book this in like the Attitude Era, since it would fit that gimmick time frame. But there is ways you can make this gimmick. The easiest way is to have him win fucking matches and have him look strong. Don't have him win feuds. That's the way you have Bray Wyatt work. It works. He can't even... the Wyatt family can't even be Big Show, Kane, and Ryback in a fucking 6-man tag team match. That's fucking sad. They can't... those are former... The two of them are former world champions and all that stuff, but come on. Bray Wyatt hasn't even held a fucking title in this fucking company. And he's been in this company for what? 3 years now? Like, what the fuck? Like, the Wyatt family just are jokes. They never held a title. Luke Harper is the only one of the Wyatts that I could actually take seriously, because he actually, even though he actually told somebody, he actually put up a decent fight against Lesnar. Did he get destroyed? Kind of, but he looked actually decently strong. And he's the only one out of this fucking Wyatt family that's holds a fucking title. He was the Intercontinental Champion, and he looked strong. He looked like a decent Intercontinental Champion. You have Eric Rowan, who just flat out sucks. Braun Strowman, who just shouldn't even be in wrestling. And you have Bray Wyatt, who talks a big game, but when it comes down to getting it in the ring, he can't win a match. So, yeah, that's the Wyatt family. Luke Harper looks the most relevant out of all of them, because at least when he loses, he actually puts up a good fight, and he actually has the best matches. I originally say Bray Wyatt's were the best match because of psychology, but what fucking psychology is there if you lose every match you're in? Let's not forget about that feud with the Dudley Boys. By the way, that actually wasn't a bad feud, but I'm just saying, like, this is just fucking sad. Alright, so then the next match we had Sami Zayn versus Stardust. Now Sami Zayn doesn't have his buzz cut anymore. He has fully grown back his hair. I don't remember if he had it like this on Raw, but that was just something I noticed. And I thought this match was good, but maybe lasted a little too long. Stardust dominated a good portion of the matchup. Michael Cole actually, I think, is going to get in trouble because since they were in Toronto, they were talking about how WrestleMania has been in Toronto on two occasions. And he was talking about one of the main events of WrestleMania 6, and everybody knows that the main event of WrestleMania 6 was Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. And he actually said Hulk Hogan. And Michael Cole may have gotten in trouble for that because when I even like I was like, wait a minute, did Michael Cole? It took me a couple of seconds to realize it, but I was like, wait a minute, did Michael Cole just say Hulk Hogan? Now either either they allowing Hulk Hogan to be referenced again, but I think Michael Cole might have fucked up because as far as WWE concerned, Hulk Hogan doesn't exist. There is no such thing as Hulk Hogan. Who's Hulk Hogan, right? So Michael Cole may get in trouble for that, and I wouldn't be shocked. And now I don't think he should be fired just for saying it. If it's Chris, because it's not like they mentioned Chris Benoit. If he mentioned Chris Benoit, then yeah, he's fired. Um, I wouldn't say fired, but maybe like suspended. But I'm actually shocked though, because this is on them. Because I actually shocked because I know usually after they do these live shows, they usually edit some stuff out. I'm actually shocked they didn't edit this out, and you could kind of tell that Michael Cole, I think fucked up because he said, "Whoa, Hulk Hogan," and he was kind of quiet for a little while. So yeah. So yeah, Michael Cole may get in trouble. But anyhow, I did like the chain wrestling part, and then where they had Stardust reverse the go for the Queen's crossbow, and then Sami Zayn reverse it, and they did like a bunch of reversals with each other. Thought that was cool. Stardust ended up hitting the disaster kick, but Sami Zayn kicked out of it. Stardust hit a superplex. Sami Zayn kicked out of it. Then Sami Zayn hit the blue thunder bomb. Then the explosive suplex into the turnbuckle and the haluva kick for the win. And I thought this was good here, good match, and it was a good showcase for Sami Zayn. Just I kind of thought the match lasted a little too long. Then the main event is Triple H defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Dean Ambrose. This match, to my opinion, was the match of the night. I really enjoyed it. I love the match. The only thing, obviously, is we knew Triple H was winning. But this was a really good matchup, and this makes this match made me want to see Dean Ambrose actually face Lesnar for #1 contendership to get into the main event of WrestleMania. And I actually want to see Dean Ambrose walk out of WrestleMania. I wish they had done this match at WrestleMania now instead of Triple H versus Roman Reigns. And that's not a good thing. So now Roman Reigns pretty much, because now everybody wants Dean Ambrose. I want Dean Ambrose. You know, I think Dean Ambrose is a better option to have win the title at WrestleMania than Roman Reigns. I'm not trashing on Roman Reigns, but they have it right here. They have the storyline right in front of their faces right now, where he can just easily go into WrestleMania and win the title. And I hope they take that direction in a way, but I don't want them to at the same time because it would feel like a ripoff of what they did with Daniel Bryan and WrestleMania 30, and I don't really want to see that either. So it's like they've just booked themselves into a corner. But anyhow, let's talk about the match. I love what Dean Ambrose was doing in this match, where he grabbed Triple H's nose and he was really acting like like he was beating the crap out of him. He separated his fingers, and he like twisted his ear, like acting like a crazy. And he actually had a game plan in this match. Dean Ambrose went after Triple H's leg, and he really worked on over his leg. He slammed it against the steel post. He drop kicked it while it was in between the ropes. He even hit a rebound clothesline on the outside. And then eventually Triple H got the upper hand when Triple H tried to go for the pedigree on the outside, but then Ambrose countered it. And then Triple H kicked him into the steel steps, and Triple H dominated the good portion of the match. He hit a suplex ribs first into the barricade, and then he had a spine buster on him, and Triple H really took control for a while. And then Dean Ambrose just goes off on Triple H. He hits the elbow drop. And he really just takes Triple H to school. They really just start fighting each other. Dean Ambrose gets Triple H into the figure four, and then the sharpshooter, but Triple H is able to fight out of him. And Dean Ambrose throws Triple H leg first into the steel steps. And then eventually Dean Ambrose ends up hitting the dirty deeds on Triple H, and he gets the cover, and he gets the victory. You think he's won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, but then the referee has to wave it off because Dean Ambrose's legs were underneath the bottom rope. So Dean Ambrose didn't win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, so he's upset about it. And then Triple H hits a roll up on Dean Ambrose, but Ambrose kicks out of it. And then Ambrose just kind of wrecks Triple H's shit, throws him into the barricades, hits a suicide dive on the ground. He hits an elbow drop on the outside, and he mocks Triple H by doing the suck it pose. And then he goes to go off the barricade and elbow Triple H right through the announcer's table, but Triple H moves out of the way and hits an elbow drop, and Ambrose ends up going through the table, and then eventually Triple H is going to try to win by countout and retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, but Dean Ambrose is just able to make it back in the win, and Triple H is able to utilize this to hit a pedigree for the win and retains the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And obviously now we're going to get Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and Dean Ambrose versus Triple H. No, well, that should have happened at WrestleMania, but Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar in the street fight. And, yeah, I like the main event. It was the match of the night, in my opinion. I just kind of wish that they would have not done this match in a way, because now I want to see Dean Ambrose versus Triple H in the main event of WrestleMania. The storyline's right there with Dean Ambrose now. You have a chance to have him win this title at WrestleMania, and it will be because he's come so close on different occasions. When it was against it was against Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, where he literally had his fingertips on the belt, and when it was at the Royal Rumble, where he was the final two with Triple H, and then here tonight, and even that Dusty finish they did with him and Seth Rollins at Elimination Chamber before that. So they have it right there. He's come so close on a number of occasions. I really want them to go with Dean Ambrose. But it's because they've already done it with Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns just wins the title, everyone's just gonna boo the crap out of it. And they've already had Roman Reigns win this belt twice. He won it at Survivor Series, had his big moment then. Then he won it. Then he had it taken away by Sheamus, and then he won it at TLC. Well, no, the night after TLC, and then had it taken away. I rather see, if you personal preference, I would rather see not Roman Reigns. I'd rather see Dean Ambrose win the title at Mania instead. I kind of hope they go into that direction, but they're not gonna go in that direction. They're gonna wait till after SummerSlam, but they have the storyline right here, right now. It's right in front of their faces, and they're just not gonna take it. Overall, I thought this show was pretty enjoyable. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. The only stuff I hated was really the Brock Lesnar, Bray Wyatt stuff, and maybe I didn't mind the Sami Zayn Stardust match, but that really was kind of there. And even Chris Jericho and Jack Swagger was kind of there. But overall, I thought the show flowed really well, and it actually had my attention throughout much of this show. Now, there was something I was going to say now, and I don't remember what it is. Oh, yeah, so now I kind of hope that we can get like a great build-up going into these next 3 weeks now, going into WrestleMania. I haven't seen Raw yet, so I'm talking about it as if Raw hasn't happened. I hope they can finally invest me to want to see WrestleMania. I mean, I'm going to the show anyways, but I'm just saying I hope they can finally get me invested, because I actually kind of feel invested kind of now into WWE product. I haven't felt this way in a while. Maybe it's because I'm on spring break and I don't have to deal with any drama right now. But I really want to see them go in this. I really want to see them go. I really want to see them just go all balls in now with WrestleMania, and just do a good, nice match code, and have a nice solid WrestleMania now this year. I think it's still possible where they can still save WrestleMania. Is it too late? Probably, because they waited so long. They probably aren't going to break the attendance record because of the mistakes that they have made, and they only have themselves to blame for that. But I still think we can get a at least a solid WrestleMania. I'm not saying I'll probably still enjoy it and think it's the greatest WrestleMania ever just because I'm going to the show live. But I think we can at least get a good to solid WrestleMania. I don't know if it'll be great. I don't know if it'll be fantastic. It definitely won't be fantastic. But I don't know if it'll be a great WrestleMania. But I still think we can get a good to solid WrestleMania. Um, if they go all balls in and they actually try to, and they actually they actually do um, they actually do the things that they need to do. They need to get their shit together. Um, Now, obviously, there's that problem that they have with Roman Reigns now because I think I myself am kind of resent Roman Reigns winning kind of even more because I kind of want to see the Ambrose now. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they can do something where they can make Roman Reigns look like a badass, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That is my WWE Roadblock review. Tell me what you guys thought of Roadblock without spoiling Raw, because I haven't seen Raw yet. And that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to all my stuff down below, and all of my friends' stuff down below. And that's pretty much it, guys. Now I don't know if I'm gonna watch Raw yet. I won't be doing the Raw review, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.